Well, when it's time.
Sure.
Okay. As I usually do, if you have a cell phone, please either silence it or turn it off. I will call to order the work session for the Oregon City Commission for Tuesday, January 10th, 2017. It's 5:30 p.m. You can call the roll, please.
Commissioner Ide? Here. Commissioner Shaw?
Here.
Commissioner O'Donnell?
Here.
Commissioner Mengelberg? Here. Mayor Holliday?
Here. Anybody have anything for future addenda items? I think I'd probably wait until after our January 20th work session or retreat. Okay, Mr. Lewis, Charter Parks designation 17-024.
Thank you, Mr. Mayor and Commission. Before you, we have a staff report for the Charter Park designation for Oregon City Parks. Staff is seeking recommendation for moving forward with recognizing in our charter parks that are currently operating as park facilities that are not currently aligned with the charter. This has come to our attention as we have begun to address operation and maintenance and planning of facilities and having some ambiguity around what actually constitutes a park within our system, what are the ramifications later on if, for example, the most recent exclusion ordinances that passed, making sure that we have clear direction for staff to proceed on both, again, operating the facilities as well as future planning. You will know that another example of that would be more recently the Weston Lynn Park going to the public to make sure that we had approval, making sure that we have clear direction as to what are our parks, what should their intended purpose be. The charter was set up to preserve the parks for their natural environment and for use in that particular way. And currently we do have parks that we're operating that are not being protected in the manner in which the public has seen to approve of parks within our system. We also have some ambiguity around both tax lot and property lines, and so as we go through this process, we're making sure that we have everything streamlined in a way where we have definitive boundary lines of each of our park properties, as well as the intended use moving forward. So with that, we're looking for seeking direction from Commission to move forward with kind of a detailed process, and again, it will be quite a bit of staff time making sure that we have everything lined up to come forward to a future Commission meeting with a detailed tax lot plan, boundary lines, and identified park locations that will serve as parks moving forward for future generations to use our park system. So with that, I will open it up to any questions. I guess I will say one last thing. I did receive a couple of questions coming forward that I want to make sure that I'm addressing. At the beginning, there should be no budgetary or financial impact in this decision. We might actually save long-term in legal fees, making sure that we're going back and forth with council to determine how to best proceed forward for future parks decisions. There should be no change in legal liability as the facilities are currently being used as park facilities. Maintenance requirements, again, would be the same. Impact on staffing requirements, again, we do not envision any budgetary impact. And then law enforcement provisions, again, that gives us another way to provide clarity for staff as they address patrons in our park system. So with that, I will open up to questions and discussion.
Mr. Manager, would you care to give us a quick debrief on how we got here?
So we have parks identified in the Oregon City Charter, clearly defining them as charter parks. There is also a method for the city commission to designate parks as charter parks, which limit some of the future uses, sale of those properties. Throughout history in Oregon City, as we've acquired new parks, built new parks, following through on whether it was purchased with, let's say, system development charges that can only be used as a park, some of those charter requirements of putting in the charter weren't completed or didn't feel the need to do that at that time. With the Public Works Operations Facility at its current location, there's been some disagreement about what's the park for Waterboard Park. We believe that the charter clearly identifies the boundary of Waterboard Park, but we've also had applications come in where they've wanted to put utilities through a park or build a road along a park. And a lot of time goes into trying to determine how the park was acquired, what process it needs to go through to determine whether development on that property can occur or not. So this really does align all the parks in the same way. It does raise the threshold in terms of trying to liquidate any of these parks at a later date, or allowing development not related to a park on any of these properties. But I don't think it's ever been the intention to sell these parks for development without a more robust public involvement process, which, if there is consensus on that, would include going to a vote of the people. So this originated based around the Waterboard Park issue. We were asked by the commission at that point to look into the possibility of designating all the parks as charter parks. So we've been going through that process of identifying the parks, legal descriptions, et cetera, moving towards accomplishing what was requested.
Thanks, sir. Commissioner Mangelberg?
Yeah, I just have some clarification questions. It seems like there's a distinction between a natural park and just a regular park. Can you help me understand what would be prohibited in a natural park that might be possible in a regular park?
So a natural park can be used for enjoyment of the natural features of the park, which might include trails, benches, picnic tables. Would not include larger facilities being built on those properties.
So not restrooms or...
Restrooms would be associated with that. So you're looking at maybe
Ball fields.
Ball fields,
Play structures.
a pool, things like that.
Okay.
The Natural Park Section 41D says Section 41 is what's required to get approval by the voters. It says the commission may not do any of the following listed acts with respect to designated city parks. And D says change the status of a natural park, construct buildings or clear vegetation in a natural park, except for the construction of trails and essential roads and elimination of hazards. So you can build a gym or a restroom or other buildings in a city park, but you can't construct a building in a natural park.
So on the clearing of vegetation, I mean, there may be good reasons why you might want to get rid of ivy or blackberries, for
That's why it
instance.
says hazard.
Hazard. You can do that.
Elimination of hazards.
Okay. I guess where my mind is going is that when people think parks, they think this is a place I can go and spend time. And we have lots of open space, tons of open space in this city that provides natural habitat without a burden on city staff to maintain. So I would rather, I'd rather focus more on an active park than, if we were choosing, than preserving lots of natural parks.
And I will say the only two currently designated parks would be Singer Creek and Waterboard.
Okay. And the other thing is the needs of neighborhoods change over time. So you wouldn't want to restrict what you can do in various parks, because it may be at one point that it's a real senior neighborhood, and then pretty soon a lot of those houses sell, and now you have lots of kids, and you want to put in a tot lot, and you want to be able to have the flexibility to do that. So,
This designation would not preclude from building facilities. The End of the Oregon Trail property is a charter park and
Yeah,
has
don't get me started on
museum property on it.
okay. Great. That's all I've got.
that. Commissioner Ide?
Yeah, just really quick. The parks that are in neighborhoods that are created in the neighborhoods say they're going to maintain them. Are those different than charter parks? And if so, how are they? Would they be included in this list?
Those facilities are not owned and operated by the city, and so those would be not included in this list.
Okay, just wanted to clarify.
think there's several remnant ones from the old, when we used to do planned unit developments, which required an open space requirement. Usually those were maintained and owned by a homeowners association. So those are under their maintenance and responsibility.
What about Richard Bloom Tots Park? Is that a city park?
It is.
Okay.
That back in the
Even-
day when I was on the commission.
Okay. So it would be included in this list.
It is.
Yes.
That little tiny itty bitty green box. Commissioner Shaw.
So, I mean, you could approach it two ways. It says everything's a charter park, but you're going to identify just certain ones that are going to be charter parks. Currently, we have, did you say Singer and Waterboard or what?
Those are natural parks.
Those are- okay.
Yeah, so those are natural parks. We currently have 10 designated charter parks,
Okay.
which are included in the staff report.
Which, as far as I can tell, were the original 10 in the 1969 charter amendment that created Title 10.
Do
I
we
would
see
imagine.
that changing at all, adding more to that? Or?
That's what we're talking about. We're
Yeah,
talking about
we
adding
would-
all of these parks to the charter.
Right. Okay, and so we've got to, you're going to look at the criteria to find out which ones we're going to do.
We're proposing to do all of them.
All parks are going to be charter parks.
And there won't, but I don't believe there's any additional natural parks. So
Okay.
they would be treated as parks. You could still build recreation facilities and restrooms and do other things that are consistent with park use. So,
Okay.
So, without, the commission may not do any of the following listed acts with regard to any designated city park or part thereof without first obtaining approval of legal voters of the city. Sell, lease, or otherwise transfer park property, vacate or otherwise change the legal status of any park, construct permanent buildings or structures thereon other than for recreational purposes and park maintenance, and then change the status of a natural park. So it's, I think this is consistently how we've operated since I've been here in terms of how we think about and operate our parks. This was an additional level of certainty that can be provided should the commission choose to put all, or if they decide they want a different list, into the charter.
Commissioner O'Donnell.
Just one quick question and a statement. The prior exclusionary ordinances, do they apply equally to charter parks and parks that are currently not charter parks?
What was the beginning of that? Do current
The exclusionary ordinances that
Oh.
were passed by the prior commission, do they have the same force of law in charter parks and non-charter parks currently?
It's my understanding that we're enforcing them the same. I guess our only, if it came down to a legal, somebody protesting that they were excluded from a park and not being clearly identifiable as a park, that there might be some wiggle room there in defense. But it's my understanding that we're currently using the exclusion policy at all of our park properties that we maintain.
I understand the terminology, understanding. The question is, are we on firm legal ground?
and what I'm doing now is looking at how we define for terms of the exclusion ordinance what is and isn't a park. And what I saw in our ordinances was that we define a park as a property that we're operating as a park. So regardless of whether it's designated as a charter park or what, if we're operating as a park, the exclusion ordinance, it should be effective.
Okay, excellent. And the second question is, goes to my companion's question about in the future, if we wanted to do some sort of construction, that Title 10, I believe was item D, limits that. We'd have to go to the voters for if we wanted to put restrooms in a park or
Only a natural park.
in a natural park.
natural park. So we have a charter park, and then you could designate one step further as a natural park. And right now we only have 2 of those that are designated, and I don't believe we're proposing any additional natural parks as part of this process.
Okay.
But even in the natural parks, we have some. I mean, like there's a disc golf course in Singer Park, right? Singer Creek Park.
Yep.
So you can build some amenities
Right. It says you can't change the status. You can't make it no longer a natural park. You can't construct buildings. And so disc golf, the receptacles or holes or whatever they're called, aren't buildings. Clear vegetation, except for the construction of trails. So, there are some things
Sure.
you can do, but trails are expected in some level of recreation.
Is that it?
Nothing further.
Commissioner Megerberg?
I guess just a general statement of my philosophy, and that is that as Oregon City grows and we get more and more people, preserving our parks is very important. It's very hard and expensive to acquire more land for parks, so we absolutely should protect what we have. And if there's some way to streamline future parks that come our way into charter parks, I'd be in favor of that also.
You're up there twice.
No, I took it off. I had to take it off.
So I assume that in this process that we're going to go through, that obviously you're hearing everybody supporting, that there will be a piece in that process whereby if we bring a new park, that it's immediately going to come to the city commission to be added to the charter.
Yep. Under Section 43, additional parks may be created and land established at parks upon the acceptance by the commission of a gift to the city for park purposes or a dedication of land as a park. Real property owned or acquired by the city in other manners may be designated as a park by ordinance. So this will help establish these parks by ordinance, and we can follow up as we acquire additional
And
properties.
then it'll be standard operating procedure to do that each additional time.
And so one gloss on it, the way the charter is written, if it's gifted, if property is gifted to the city as a park or dedicated as a park, it's a park, and this commission doesn't have to adopt an ordinance.
It automatically goes onto the charter list.
It automatically goes onto the charter list.
Okay.
Without a charter amendment?
Without a charter amendment, under Section 43, where additional parks can be added, let me get to that. It says, additional parks may be created and land established as parks upon the acceptance by the commission of a gift to the city for park purposes or dedication of land as a park. Real property owned or acquired by the city in other manners may be designated as a park by ordinance. So if we were to go out and purchase property, whether through SDCs, park SDCs, or some other fashion, to have it subject to the protections of the charter,
We'd have
an
to
ordinance would
designate.
have to be designated as
Okay.
under the ordinance.
So can I ask one more question?
Sure.
So we don't have to take this to a vote of the people then? Is that since Section 43 says that just designated,
Yeah.
as long as, okay.
Yeah, to create more charter parks, you don't have to go to a voter. It's a one-way ratchet. Once it gets acquires that status, you can take to take it away. You've got to go to the voters, but the commission has the authority to create them.
Okay. Further discussion? Then have you heard what you needed to hear?
Thank you very much.
Okay. Mr. Manager, you have anything for us?
Just one update. The municipal court, we're rolling out an amnesty program in the municipal court. So the court is going to offer its first amnesty program from February 15th to May 31st for traffic cases that are currently in collections. The citations must be over 3 years old, and if they pay half of the debt owed, the rest will be forgiven. The 50% must be paid in full in order to receive reduction in a DMV clearance. We are following several other Oregon courts and offering this program to allow people a second chance at clearing up their old debt and allowing to have their driver's license cleared with our court here in Oregon City. They'll still have to pay the DMV clearance fee of $75 on top of whatever the half of the outstanding fine is with the city. This will help clear up stagnant cases with our court. And we propose to get this information out through multiple media, websites, newspaper advertising, etc. So this is an opportunity to clear old cases. And when you think about some of these cases in terms of folks driving on suspended license leads to getting pulled over on a suspended license, it tends to be a hole that's very, very hard to dig out of. So this will assist with residents and folks who have outstanding tickets with us, an opportunity to clear that up, as well as clear some of the long backlog that we have of these outstanding citations that are out there with the city. So I just wanted to make you aware of that and be happy between Jim Band and Mr. Parno, myself, try to answer any questions or concerns that you may have about the program that we're going to roll out.
Questions, anybody? Okay. Anything for the good of the order here? Then we're adjourned. We'll be back in 10 minutes.